So the last time we talked about this merge between Funimation and Crunchyroll, it was about Crunchyroll themselves moving only the censored version of certain titles to the Crunchyroll streaming site instead of the uncensored version, along with some other titles or dubs that haven't made onto Crunchyroll's service as well. For example, Black Butler. Now, the first season definitely is on Crunchyroll sub and dub, but second season, not so much. Third season, not that either. Not to mention other titles like Moon Phase. Even the One Piece dub is not on Crunchyroll yet. Now, those aren't the only two issues that are going on with this merge. If you take a look at this Tumblr page here, it says, "Attention anime fans with Crunchyroll accounts. Boycott Crunchyroll. Cancel your subscription. Crunchyroll has been severely underpaying their voice actors and translators. Actors on Twitter are claiming to be paid anywhere from $35 to $150 on an entire show. Crunchyroll is refusing to cooperate with any unions or even communicate with them." Now, as an example, it says right here that Kyle McCarley, who's the voice of Mob in the English version of Mob Psycho 100, went on to voice his concern about, Crunchyroll not wanting to work with a union actor.
Hi everybody, Kyle McCarley here. You may know me as the English voice of Shigeo Kageyama, aka Mob, in the anime series Mob Psycho 100. I'm making this video to let you know that, well, first of all, in case you weren't aware, there is a third season of Mob Psycho 100 on the way very, very soon. As a fan myself, I was super excited about this. I'm a big fan of the show. I love playing Mob. And I love you guys, the fans. You guys have been incredible over the years. But I'm making this video because I wanted to let you know that there have been talks over the past couple of weeks between the cast of the show and Crunchyroll, who's producing the show, about potentially producing this season of the show on a SAG-AFTRA union contract. And as a result of those conversations, I'm making this video because it's looking very, very likely that I will not be reprising my role as Mob. I know for some of you that probably sucks to hear. Believe me, it sucks a lot to say. I'm really, really bummed about this. But I wanted to let you all know how we got here and where here is. As a SAG-AFTRA union member and a member of the SAG-AFTRA Dubbing Steering Committee, it's really, really important to me, personally, that all the work that I do be covered by a SAG-AFTRA union contract. For those of you who don't know, SAG-AFTRA is a union that represents actors. Unions exist to protect their workers. I could get into the nitty-gritty about why unions are a good thing and why SAG-AFTRA exists and what they do for performers like myself, but I'm not gonna muddy up this video with all that information. If you're curious, you can just scroll through the Twitter thread that follows this post. It has been made abundantly clear to me that in the case of Season 3 of Mob Psycho 100, Crunchyroll is not going to be producing that show on a SAG-AFTRA contract. And I want to put this little note in here just to be very, very clear. It's not about money. They were prepared to pay me at least what I would be getting on a union scale contract, possibly more. They just don't want to put it on a union contract. With 99.9% of the work that I do, that would be the end of the conversation for me. I would say, thank you very much for the opportunity, but I don't work non-union. But with the help of my castmates, who I've been in close contact with throughout the course of these negotiations, I was able to see an opportunity here. Crunchyroll has historically been very, very hesitant to take anything that they produce onto a SAG-AFTRA contract. And just because of the role that I have in this particular show and this particular show's popularity with you guys, it seemed like maybe there was an opportunity to change that. So I went back to Crunchyroll with the offer that I would agree to work on this season of this show, non-union, on the condition that they agree to sit down and meet with SAG-AFTRA representatives with the purposes of negotiating a potential contract for them to use on future productions. That's all I was asking. Not a commitment to definitely guaranteed make such an agreement happen, not a commitment to definitely guarantee using such an agreement if it came into existence. Just an agreement to good faith negotiations. An agreement to sit down and have a conversation on their own terms, where SAG-AFTRA can present the needs of the performers that they represent on a contract with any given employer, and a conversation where Crunchyroll can present their needs as a production company and just find out if there's any middle ground to be found between those two so that a contract could be made for future productions. As far as where things stand right now, Crunchyroll's a big corporation. There's a lot of people that have to weigh in on a decision like this, most of whom I have not spoken to. But all I needed them to do was agree to sit down and have a conversation, and it seems like that's not something that they want to do. So I just wanted to let you guys know that unless things change, you're probably going to be hearing at least one unfamiliar voice on Mob Psycho 100 Season 3, maybe more. I don't want to speak for anybody in particular, and I certainly don't want to cast judgment or blame against any actor who takes whatever work opportunities they're given. Everybody's in different situations in their lives and in their careers, and they all have to make their own decisions and the decisions that are best for them. And I'm not going to begrudge anybody for that. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I love you all, and I hope that the next time I talk to you, I will have some happier news to share.
Now, if you want more information on why he's a union actor, I'll click on the link to his to McCarley's Twitter page and read why. Union protects the workers they represent chiefly by giving them collective bargaining power, meaning that instead of negotiating the terms of employment individually, one-on-one, the union negotiates baseline minimums for everyone all at once. This generally leads to better terms for all workers because, as a collective, you have sway in these negotiations. Unions protect the workers they represent chiefly by giving them collective bargaining power, meaning that instead of negotiating the terms of your employment individually, one-on-one, the union negotiates baseline minimums for everyone all at once. This generally leads to better terms for all workers because, as a collective, you have sway in these negotiations. How much you get paid, how long your hours, how hard those hours are, how often you get breaks or time off, what safety precautions are taken, etc. Just one example of how SAG-AFTRA helps voiceover performers specifically is by negotiating terms that protect us from vocally stressful work. We often have to do a lot of screaming, shouting on the job, but our contracts ensure it's never for too long at a time. Our union's also gone to great lengths to educate both us and our employers on the dangers of vocally stressful work, and there are plenty of other benefits, but the big ones I want to point out are the health insurance and retirement fund. America doesn't have universal health insurance. We pay coverage, which can be expensive, and it often doesn't cover everything. Some workers can't get it from their employers, which often means better/more affordable coverage, but that's not possible for performers. We're freelancers. We work for a lot of different employers in very short bursts, so it wouldn't make financial sense for any of them to give us health and retirement benefits on their own. That's where SAG-AFTRA comes in. By collecting a small percentage on top of our fee for every job we work on, SAG-AFTRA funds a phenomenal health plan that's very affordable for qualifying members, as well as a retirement plan. These are huge reasons for actors who work union. I could possibly go on for days about this, but those are the big bullet points I want to cover for those unfamiliar/uncertain about the benefits of unionization that wouldn't fit in this video. So basically, one of the things that these things means is, dangers of vocally stressful work. It means that your voice box can get tired, your throat is raw, and you might get a sore throat and have maybe some vocal damage. Later on, McCarley would go on to tweet, "A lot of people have been asking me how they can support. You're doing it. Let Crunchyroll know in whatever way you see fit that, as a fan, you'd like them to reconsider their position. Hashtag just a meeting. That's all I'm asking for." Going back to that Tumblr page, let's scroll down and take a look at some other actors voicing this concern. These are a lot to talk about, and I'll give you a link to this page in the description if you want to give some of these a read yourself. But if you want to stick around and take a look in the video, I'll be happy to read some of these to you. Here's one by Michael Schwalbe. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but let's see what he has to say. "Anime fans, this is the moment. We need your solidarity. You can help us so much. Anime is the most vocally strenuous kind of voice acting. We scream for hours, risking our career and our health. Yet Crunchyroll won't even talk to the actors union that give us health care. Anime pays by far the least of any kind of voice acting despite the stress. E.g., Jujutsu Kaisen actors were paid $150 to $300 total for their roles in the movie that opened at number 2 in the US, grossing $30 million. No royalties, no residuals. For most, no healthcare. After its acquisition by Sony, Crunchyroll is a monopoly. They dominate the anime market. If we can force them to pay us fairly and go union, it'll dominate the entire anime industry and change our lives. Crunchyroll pretends that your subscription helps the biz, but it enables them to exploit us. Please cancel your subs in solidarity with us. Write them. Tell them why. Tell them anime actors have union protection matters to you, and you're talking with your wallet. You can change this for us. Don't let the corporate overlords destroy this awesome medium of pursuing profits." Here's a couple by Jun Yoon. "I will support the industry by supporting my colleagues and friends. I will come back as a subscriber when Crunchyroll agrees to Kyle's ask of simply coming to the table to discuss the possibility. No obligations. I won't ask you to do the same, but I will ask you to consider." Tweet number 1, now tweet number 2. "Let's be clear. All this is about one corporation, not about the anime studios, not about the people, not even about anime as a genre. I'm coming to continue to audition for things that come my way because I wholeheartedly love it. I'm certain all voice actors feel this way. No ire of any context should be pointed at the actors, directors, engineers, etc. around this. Actors should carefully consider their choices, but everyone understands the need to work. If the luxury of choice is afforded, I'd ask that you consider not auditioning and stand with the folks speaking out. Today, anime is definitely mainstream. It is no longer a niche market of a small following. Talent in all areas working in the medium should be professionally compensated and protected and treated as such. The union will ensure that it is why it exists." As in, like, the things that come your way, not from that corporation, directly from Crunchyroll, this is what I expect. Union ADR, SAG rate plus 10%. Otherwise, I politely decline, and I have. NU ADR, non-union ADR, $125 an hour with 2 hours, minutes? Well, whatever. Otherwise, I politely decline, and I have. When Crunchyroll decides to send auditions that fit the above, I'll submit. But I will not audition to replace actors, ever. I will audition for anime studios, and I'm much more flexible as they come from my colleagues and friends. Have I mentioned I love anime? But from Crunchyroll, the above is precisely what I will adhere to. And now finally one from Marin Miller. I booked my first role in anime because I was a fan of Full Metal Alchemist. I got paid $35 for that work. It took massive public shaming after a merger for Crunchyroll to raise that minimum to $44. Their translators get paid $90 per episode last I heard. Translating 450 lines for $90? We are fans. We love this work. We are tired of being treated like greedy actors for trying to drag dubbing into the 21st century. I got paid $35 in 2007, and people were still getting those rates this year. What else? Now one by Ben Diskin. There are many things I could say about how Crunchyroll /Sony Pictures have handled Mob Psycho 100 situation. See Kyle McCarley's video, QT'd below. Or quoted? I don't know. None of them would be very kind. Instead, I'd like to contrast the situation with our partners at Netflix /Netflix Anime. Back in 2019, Netflix approached our union, SAG-AFTRA, to form a Netflix agreement. Along with this general agreement came the formation of the Netflix dubbing agreement. Ever since then, it's been the dubbing contract with the most favorable terms for dubbing actors to date. Recently, Netflix finished negotiations with SAG-AFTRA for an updated Netflix agreement. The new 2022 Netflix dubbing agreement contains following upcoming improvements for dubbing performers. 1. Dubbing actors will be paid a minimum of 3 hours of work for Netflix anime and other Netflix dubs, up from 2 hours. 2. Dubbing actors will have vocally stressful sessions, yelling, shouting, screaming, battle cries, creature sounds, unnatural voice textures, extensive whispering, etc. For Netflix anime and other Netflix dubs, capped at 2 hours to protect our voices and paid with a 25% premium. 3. Dubbing actors for Spanish dubs will at last be paid on par with English-speaking dubbing performers for Netflix dub and other Netflix anime and other Netflix dubs. They've historically been paid far less. To reiterate, Netflix approached our union of their own accord to form this agreement. Nobody had to publicly drag them, shame them, demonize them, or spotlight anti-union sentiment like what's happening with Crunchyroll /Sony Pictures. If you're an anime fan, just know that by watching anime on Netflix, you're supporting the dubbing community by spending your money on a service that treats us with respect. Thanks, Netflix. Do the right thing, Crunchyroll /Sony Pictures. Sit down with SAG-AFTRA and get your own contract. You could hire from a large pool of union-only actors. Hire your local Texas talent too, or I don't know if that's supposed to stand for Texas, and never have to deal with this embarrassing shit again. Now, before we continue this video more, let's recite a couple of issues that we've addressed previously. First, Crunchyroll brings only the censored version of certain series over to the Crunchyroll streaming service from Funimation.
All of the streaming content that's on Funimation's platform has to move to Crunchyroll. And the unfortunate thing that we were seeing that I covered in my last video is a lot of that content, even though they had options for both uncut and cut, meaning censored or uncensored, the censored version were coming over, but not the uncensored version. So it was creating a lot of controversy. It was a lot of fear. This is not just naughty stuff. We're talking violence as well. Violence was getting censored. So you had things like Akudama Drive, they were getting the censored version, so the violence was censored. And yes, technically all the nudity and stuff from things like Seven Mortal Sins and stuff was censored as well. There was no happy ending to that video. I was very upset at the idea and I didn't know why. There was no answers. Obviously Crunchyroll's not answering why they're only moving the censored stuff, and it was creating a lot of controversy. At some point, I got an email. It was a press release, and Crunchyroll was telling everybody in this email, hey, look at the new lineup of releases that are coming over from Funimation. Be excited. And I looked at that list and I'm like, okay, there's a couple things in there that I'm going to look at to see if it's the real version or if it's the censored version. And I thought, hey, why not? Why not reply to it? What could hurt? The worst thing that could happen is they don't respond to me. Well, I was actually surprised that they actually responded. My response was, do you have any word on when or if Crunchyroll will be moving the uncensored content from Funimation? I noticed that most of all versions moved over already have been censored. Akudama Drive, My Girlfriend is a Gal, Azure Lane, Seven Mortal Sins, etc. If they will be moving this content over, how will they be handling it on the site? Obviously, the question there being, they don't have like selections in the player, it's all separate seasons. And like I said, I got a response, and I was very shocked when I seen this email. It says, "Hi Andrew, we'll investigate and report back. Crunchyroll subscribers over 18 can peruse mature gated content for a variety of series, but we'll look into the status on the titles you mentioned below." Sadly, shock to nobody, never got a follow-up. Now, I did try to contact them again to give a follow-up, and again, no response, to a shock to nobody. My assumption here is that whoever is sending out the stuff is part of the PR team, and they have zero control over what gets moved and zero control over the decision-making there. They probably went to them and said, hey, this guy is asking about why the uncensored stuff's not moved, and they said, we're not doing that, don't reply to it. And that was probably the end of it.
Especially since Sony has been a big advocate of censorship. 2, some dubs and just titles in general are still not on Crunchyroll, hence why some people still have their Funimation streaming service. And now, Crunchyroll doesn't want to work with actors who are in the union group or have any kind of union conditions. So, what do I make of these issues so far? Well, as just a regular anime enthusiast, a regular anime viewer, I personally respect those who want to see those older fans who want to see the uncensored, uncut versions of certain titles. I respect those who are fine with a censored version as long as the uncensored version is on there as well. Because that way you can have different versions for a different, age group. As an actor, well, believe it or not, I'm actually gonna be in a TV show. Not an anime though, it's more of live acting on the screen, but I'm gonna be in a TV show, and who knows where this might take me, and I certainly would love to try out English dubbing for anime, but who knows? Right now I gotta focus on what I'm filming pretty soon, but as an actor who wants to try out dubbing for anime someday, I can kind of imagine the frustration that some of these actors are feeling and experiencing. I don't really know if I want to go union or non-union, but at least pay these anime voice actors a really good amount of money for all of the hard work they're putting into their performance. I don't know if voice actors actually took breaks while they were at the recording booth, at the recording studio, at least under Funimation when they were their own dubbing studio. But if they did, just let them take breaks. I just say this because I feel like maybe it's like they're pushing on the voice actor so hard to just, do your job, do all the yelling, do as much as you can. We don't care if your voice is getting hurt, we don't care if your throat is getting raw, and you're not getting any breaks. You're done when we say you're done, okay? Do your job, and then once we're satisfied, we'll let you go. And if that's exactly what's going on with this refusal of union work, at least if I was in the union group, I don't know, I probably will. I don't know, but say I was. I'd probably reject Crunchyroll, working with Crunchyroll for this. I personally would have preferred to work for Funimation, especially since I sent them an email and a resume, a commercial that I filmed for a transportation department once. Of course, since Funimation's moving their content to Crunchyroll, it could be likely that they are, they would probably forward it to Crunchyroll. But if they're really adamant on paying their workers much less money, especially since they're, especially all their hard work that they're putting into their performance and for the translators, come on. Really, guys? Can't you pay these guys a really, really good amount of money for their hard work? I don't really know what else I can say. I don't really know if it's true, but I've heard that a lot of anime voice actors... Hi, I'm in editing mode. What I meant was a lot of anime viewers. Apparently, anime viewers wanted just one unified streaming service with a huge anime library, and apparently that's exactly what this merge between Funimation and Crunchyroll's about. Funimation rebranding as Crunchyroll and moving all of their whole library over to them. But when you go on social media to look at some of these issues that anime fans and the voice actors and translators have with Crunchyroll, it kind of goes to show that they're basically taking advantage of the customers, translators, actors, and everybody. If you're curious about what some of McCarley's viewers have to say on this, I'll be happy to read some of the comments to you. I'm sad that Crunchyroll is so adverse to unionization that they're throwing away such significant talent over such a simple request. I hope they reconsider, and I wish you the best of luck with whatever comes next. It's sad that many are adverse to unions in America. As a union member, do I think unions 100% work? Yes, I do. Do I think there are shitty unions that don't work? Yes, I do. There are jobs that are impossible to unionize just because of how unions should work effectively. Unions work most effectively with contracted labor, welders, carpenters, voice actors, etc., who move from job to job, company to company, role to role. In the case of many unions, grocery stores, railways, teachers, etc., I think these unions are harder to get anything done, and in most cases become horrifically corrupt under themselves because you aren't contracted workers selling your skills to anyone but one company. Thus, they can do whatever the hell they want to you, and you can't fight back or just move on to the next job. The fact that Crunchyroll is anti-union is incredibly sad, especially after buying Funimation. They've realized they have a monopoly on this, which is funny, by the way, because Crunchyroll used to steal subbed animation from more talented individuals and then copyright strike their piracy, acting as if it was theirs. Never let Crunchy live that down. Interesting. Although, on the contrary, it wasn't necessarily Crunchyroll that bought Funimation. It was actually Sony that bought Funimation and Crunchyroll, but Sony decided to merge Funimation with Crunchyroll and rebrand as the latter. But, man, which was such a stupid decision since Crunchyroll has way more bad press associated with it. It was once a pirate site, and Funimation has a far more positive history in the Western anime sphere. I can't help but wonder if it was Crunchyroll that made the choice and not Funimation. I totally agree. In our case, the employees unionized, but almost all of them are worse off from it. The wage increases that they were supposed to have been delayed several months because of the union, and some of the jobs we were going to specifically increase wages for can no longer be increased because of it. All of the employees have to switch to a specific benefit provider as well, which is far worse than their current benefits, not to mention a lot more work for HR for no reason. It's a situation where basically the employees and staff are worse, but the union makes money off of them. The only upside so far has been that the union is good at ensuring workplace safety practices and following up with safety claims. I could go on and on about reading all these comments, but I'll say this. There is a way to make Crunchyroll listen to give the paying customers what they want and pay the actors and translators the amount of money they deserve. Like I said last time, cancel your Crunchyroll account. As it reads right here on this same Tumblr page, spread the word. Being active on social media about this issue and using tags like just a meeting make a difference. If or when you cancel your subscription, tell them exactly why. They are already getting a lot of shit on social media and are limiting comments in some places. Keep it coming. I know it is difficult to boycott a company that has monopolized the anime industry to such an extreme, but it has to happen sooner rather than later. That is because unless consumers fight back, things will only get worse for creators. We are near the start of an incredibly packed and anticipated fall anime season, which makes this boycott even harder, but that is all the more reason to do it now, to hit the corporate streaming service when it hurts. Pirate that shit. I mean, I'm sure some of you guys know that, and I know some of you probably have, but my question is, what about the majority rule? Do the general paying customers of Crunchyroll know this? How many of them know? Or rather, do they even care? Maybe they don't. Because for them, it's one big anime library all into just one streaming service. And it's not very expensive to pay. And yet, here they are, bringing only the censored version of certain series to their streaming service from Funimation, and they're underpaying their actors, especially lead actors, and their translators. And if you guys aren't happy with any of these situations, then you gotta show the people who don't know videos like these and all the other tweets I showed you and other people's videos addressing these. They need to know that this Funimation and Crunchyroll merch is a monopoly created by Sony. And as long as they continue to pay for these services, they're gonna keep taking advantage of everyone. You wanna see more uncensored, uncut content? You wanna bring Funimation back to what it once was? Cancel your Crunchyroll subscription. Send them an email and tell them why you want those things back. You want them to stop underpaying the actors and translators? Cancel your Crunchyroll account. Send them an email talking about that. Maybe include the tag, just a meeting. Tell them about Kyle McCarley and the other voice actors I mentioned. Go ahead and share this video on other social media pages. I give you guys permission. Share some of the links that I showed you on those other pages you're on too. The sooner we fight back, the sooner we can get something better out of this. Now, I don't know how many people are aware of these issues we've been talking about, but I mean that's why I'm basically making this video. I've been trying to find so many up-to-date sources addressing this issue as possible. And since nobody is, somebody's gotta stand up, voice a concern, and show some evidence around it. So I would like to know, how many of you guys have canceled your Crunchyroll account and told them that you don't like what they're doing with your anime and the voice actors and translators? Please let me know in the comment section, and I think we might talk more about this in the future. See you later. Next time on this channel, Crunchyroll's anime award voting is clickbait. The third video I'm re-uploading, where I talk about Crunchyroll clickbaiting viewers with anime awards.